It's the Smithsonian of college basketball, and tonight they celebrate Veterans Weekend with Veterans Day. Tomorrow, as the fourth-ranked Kansas Jayhawks open their 120th season tonight in historic Allen Fieldhouse as they entertain the Tennessee State Tigers of the Ohio Valley Conference. Hi everyone, I'm Mitch Holtis along with the curator of college basketball, Fran Fraschilla. Everybody wants to know, what does this fourth-ranked Kansas team have?
Bill Self wants to know. This is a team that lost the National Player of the Year in Frank Mason, replaced ably by Devontae Graham. Let's see where Svi Mikhailuk is. Where's LeGerald Vick? And I'm excited about watching Udoka Azubuike, the 7-foot sophomore who missed a lot of last season with that wrist injury.
Hall of Fame coach Bill Self also is anxious to see Malik Newman, top recruit from Mississippi State a couple years ago. Now he's eligible to play at Kansas.
Exactly, and he got a chance to practice all last season. He knows about Kansas, the tradition, Allen Fieldhouse, but for the first time, he's going to go on this court, and they think he can really score the ball. I'm anxious to see how he handles first game.
Okay, we have breaking news already here at Allen Fieldhouse, and that is McDonald's All-American Billy Preston will not play tonight for Kansas.
Missed curfew, missed the class. Disappointing because they need that big body. This team only has 8 scholarship players going into the semester break. We'll see how they play.
Even less people tonight with Preston setting out. And Tennessee State has a bright young head coach in Dana Ford. Kansas, number 4 in the country, trying to make more history this year, going for a 14th consecutive Big 12 title, entertains Tennessee State.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, Dr. Scholl's, and Angry Orchard Hard Cider, naturally refreshing.
And welcome back to Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas entertaining Tennessee State to open the season. And now let's check in with ESPN's Jeff Goodman.
Guys, the big thing yesterday in practice for Bill Self, he kept calling this team soft. He wants to see him with some more toughness. Last year, remember, they had 2 dudes who brought it every night, Frank Mason and Josh Jackson. So the big thing, he wants to see this thin group bring it. Listen, guys, I've never seen a place this loud, and it's Tennessee State. I can barely hear myself talk right now.
Last year, Devontae Graham was the vice president. Frank Mason was not only the president of Kansas, he was the president of college basketball. Now the vice president takes over the head role. The role that Devontae Graham has additionally this year is what?
It's a tougher job than Frank Mason had because Frank Mason had Devontae Graham to lean on, whereas right now, he's their only pure point guard, and he's going to have to be a leader extraordinaire. But he's up to it, Mitch, as you know. His 4th year, he understands exactly what he wants.
Now, Tennessee State last year, Dana Ford's done a great job. First of all, he took a 5-win team to a 20-win team. Last year, a 17-win team. They played Duke to the wire. They almost beat NC State.
They play hard. And the one thing that stood out to me today at practice was how focused they were, how intense they were, and it was impressive.
And Tennessee State gets the first crack. And a side cleared, and Darion Raddick goes right after LeGerald Vick.
Very poised so far, and it looks like they're going to play man. It looked like 2-3 zone.
The Tigers have some size, Fran, but they've decided to match small with Kansas 4-guard lineup.
They were concerned about the quickness of Kansas. In fact, Dana Ford told us, we play big, we prefer to play big. But certainly, first few minutes of this game, they want to be able to play well defensively.
This is a veteran Tennessee State Tiger team. And here's their starting 5. Christian Mekawulu, keep an eye on him, the 6'9" redshirt junior, also from Nigeria, along with Udoka Azubuike for Kansas. Vic open for three. Kansas, the last 2 years, Fran, has made 622 threes.
Amazing. Back-to-back season records for this storied program.
Air ball from A.C. Reed, a graduate transfer out of the Liberty Flames program to TSU. And here's the Kansas lineup.
Yeah, known for his shooting. A little soft pressure right here by Tennessee State.
4 guards and Azubuike. That's what you've got.
How about the freshman Garrett getting his first start?
Garrett, the freshman out of Dallas Skyline. And Devontae Graham drills home the three. They struggled in the first half of the last exhibition game against Fort Hays State. Not so much tonight.
Not so much. And remember that great game against Missouri. It was an exhibition game, but he was red hot early.
And Bill Self will like that as much or more than the three.
You know what I like about it from a coach's standpoint? He wanted to throw it back to Azubuike, but he was taking no chances.
A second steal by Devontae Graham.
We talked to Devontae Graham at practice yesterday, and I think it would be unfair to say he took a back seat to Frank Mason. Because remember, this was the guy that had a brilliant sophomore year. And, but boy, is he ready to take the reins of this team.
I mentioned Tennessee State's Christian Mekawulu. He has the first 2 fouls of the game. So Dana Ford now has a decision to make with one of his bigs. Reed can shoot threes. In fact, he teed up 427 of them at Liberty when he was there.
Unfortunately, only made about 30% of them. Oh, this is what I want to see. Can the big guy operate?
Azubuike, a little sweetness in the paint.
So much improved, and the patience that you have to learn how to play in the low post. You saw a great example right there. I want you to watch now, Mitch. The big fella's going to catch it. He's going to look to the middle. He's going to see if the double comes. And I'll tell you, he has been the product of a years-long effort in terms of his development. By the way, kudos to Norm Roberts, the assistant coach, who does a terrific job with Kansas's big guys.
Azubuike played 11 games last year and then injured his wrist. But you know, in the game against Duke, he had 12 rebounds in just 15 minutes against Duke.
This young man is a clever point guard. Amani Cheney out of St. Rita's in Chicago. Very good program in the Chicago Catholic League.
Reed has missed his first 3 threes. And the freshman drives and gets an and one. Marcus Garrett, his first basket as a Jayhawk.
Now, when we talk about Kansas playing 4 out, that means 4 guards, only 1 in the post, and that allows them to attack the basket off of penetration. This young man played for a terrific high school coach, Paul Graham, former college head coach and assistant. And having lived in Dallas, Mitch, for the last 15 years, I watched this guy recently. Terrific young prospect.
Yeah, Paul Graham was with Bill Self. They're friends. He was a former head coach at Washington State.
That's right. And I think it was a 92-93 season at Oklahoma State that they were assistants to future Hall of Fame coach Eddie Sutton.
Last year, one of the chinks in the Kansas armor was at the line. They were 9th out of the 10 teams of the Big 12 at the foul stripe.
Tigers have run good offense so far. They just can't get the ball to go.
But you'd think that Bill Self would have to like the intensity defensively of Kansas early.
Without a doubt.
Lightfoot with the block. And Vic on the attack.
Well, you love the intensity in this place. And Kansas is off to the kind of start Bill Self wants.
Let's get it. College hoops are here. Big time. Boom. It's #1 Duke versus #2 Michigan State. #4 Kansas versus #5 Kentucky. One nice, 2 blockbuster matchups with the college football playoffs, top 25 in between games.
Boy, big time Tuesday, the 7th annual State Farm Champions Classic from the United Center in Chicago. Couldn't have a better field than this.
Oh man, I'll tell you, I'm going to go as a fan. I've never been to Champions. I'll be there Tuesday night. And how about Kentucky tonight? Struggling with Utah Valley at home, and kudos to Mark Pope, the coach at Utah Valley, former Kentucky star. They're going to get on a plane and play Duke tomorrow night. That's a pretty good 24 hours. He ought to be doing the broadcast of Champions. He'll know 2 of the teams in the field pretty cold.
And his athletic director will thank him for the payout.
Exactly.
Kansas has not missed a shot, Fran. They are 5 of 5, and now an easy layup, the first easy bucket, and it's Armani Chaney gets the 2 for Tennessee State. Mikhailuk. Kansas has made every 3 they've shot early in this game.
You know, when Bill Self talks about offensive basketball, for so long it was about the 2 game, the power game, 3 out, 2 in. But he's playing to his team's strengths with all that outside shooting.
Mekawulu with his 2 fouls comes back into the lineup for Dana Ford. And Malik Newman joins the party.
How good does he feel? Sitting out the year, practicing, being on the scout team.
Part of that terrific recruiting class. That was Ben Simmons, Caleb Swanigan. That was a heck of a class.
Now watch it. Talk about heck. Watch the heck of a passing right here. Watch the ball sink. It's going to go to Vic. Right off his hand. Boom! Extra pass. Devontae Graham gets the Gretzky, the hockey assist.
Kansas, the 16-point lead, fueled by 4 of 4 beyond the arc. Ooh, nice little step back knockdown by Delano Spencer, who played junior college ball here in Kansas at Coffeyville. Azubuike again works inside and gets the and one opportunity. Let's check in now with Jeff Goodman.
You know, Bill Self said this is a perimeter shooting team, but he was a little bit concerned because in the exhibition games, they really hadn't made threes other than Devontae Graham. So this is a great sign for Self that some of these guys are making them, including Malik Newman early.
Well, it's a good point, Jeff, but when we talk about these exhibition games, it's a small sample size. The reality is Mikhailuk and Vic and Graham showed us last year what they can do from the perimeter, and certainly Malik Newman can add to that.
Azubuike with the free throw news because last year he was just 38% at the line in the 11 games that he played. You don't want it to become hackadoke.
And don't forget, Mitch Lightfoot was 2 for 12 last year from the line, and he's going to play more.
Force 3, but single digits on the shot clock for Chaney. Newman laser fast.
Let me tell you something. What a pass by Devontae Graham. What selflessness. Devontae Graham, he Newman is running the lane. He doesn't need to score. He wants to make sure his teammates are involved. Jackson, Mississippi to Lawrence, Kansas. What a trip and what a start to his career.
Kansas hot as an acetylene torch, leading Tennessee State 25-7. Coming up tonight, a real interesting game. 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. 21st ranked UCLA and Georgia Tech from China. You can also watch it on the ESPN app. That game took on a whole lot new meaning the other day.
What a week it's been for Steve Alford and the UCLA Bruins. 3 players have been left behind in Hangzhou after a shoplifting incident. And I was out on that trip last year with the Harvard University team. I could have sent them to a market in Shanghai, and they could have got Louis Vuitton glasses for $40. I'm telling you, what were those kids thinking?
That's what Steve Alford wants to know.
When you go to China, you don't pay full price for anything, Mitch.
Well, here it is. I mean, here's the issue, and this is serious. And I mean, getting them out of the country. I mean, this involves the consulate.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people here.
No, this is not like trying to get them out of the Mayberry RFD City Jail.
And they're going to be in Kansas City here shortly. UCLA's in the CBE. The week of Thanksgiving at the Hall of Fame Classic at Sprint Center. Garrett with the hustle and following. But to me, I know they've hit all the threes. This is about their defense and energy to start this game.
Yeah, no question, and that's where the 4 guards, the quickness, the pressure on the ball. You see the help right there.
And a strong take to the basket by Darion Reddick. Again, this Tennessee State team, and Bill Self knows it, took Duke to the wire last year and could have beaten NC State, and they beat Middle Tennessee by double digits. And Middle Tennessee only lost 5 games last year.
One of the things I take notice of as a coach, I ought to be able to walk into any 10 minutes of a coach's practice and know what they believe in. And when we walked in today to Dana Ford's shoot-around, you can tell there was intensity and execution. And don't worry about the score because they're in the Ohio Valley Conference. But this is a bright young head coach. I don't think he expected this blitzkrieg to start the game.
No, and he's got tough kids. He had them ready to go. It's just the fact that Kansas has been so good defensively and out in the passing lanes on him.
You know what I like what Coach Ford did yesterday when we watched Mitch? They practiced in their game uniforms because he wanted them to put the uniforms on before they actually came in here and had to play a game. Pretty good motivational tool. It hasn't worked yet, but this team plays hard.
Oh! Garrett going to get the basket here. He's trying to get it as a bouquet. Dana Ford's going, man, if that's going in, it's a long night.
One of the things Kansas does with all these guards is they can switch all dribble handoffs, and that keeps the pressure on your defense.
This might have been like the Nigerian national team workout here. You had Mekawulu going right at Azubuike, both natives of Nigeria. 29-9, Kansas is rolling.
Back here at Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas leads Tennessee State 29-9, and just prior to the game, Kansas coach Bill Self told me he found out Billy Preston missed curfew last night, so Preston will be held out tonight. Highly coveted freshman. He was going to come off the bench, but with them only having 8 players, he was certainly going to play a major role tonight. I asked him who will get some of the minutes. He smiled, looked at me, and said, Clay Young. You guys know who Clay Young is? He's a walk-on.
Yeah, Clay Young, Lansing, Kansas, played at Kansas City, Kansas Community College.
Listen, Bill Self, this was not the debut he expected from Billy Preston. He's going to get nothing from nothing tonight.
Oh, nice.
Okay?
Yeah. Well, Billy may get something from something. He may run the, what's Bill Self call them, the Section 17s or something?
Oh, yeah. And it's a distraction you don't need.
No.
Not only to start your season, but you're getting ready to go to to Chicago and play Kentucky on Tuesday night in the Champions.
Vic in rhythm. McKayla! The follow dunk.
Watch the ball movement now. Garrett's not a shooter, but when we talk about this team trying to play downhill, they're looking for an opening to drive it to the paint. There it is.
Doug Sermon calls the traveling. Now let's take a look at McKayla with his backside follow dunk.
And a lot of this was, see the drive to the paint, the shot, and then the soft shot stays on the rim. And here comes Svi, who, by the way, how would you like to be a senior at Kansas and you're still not of drinking age? Think about that. He's not going to turn 21 until I think it's June 6th or 7th.
He played for the under 20 Europe in the European Championships with Ukraine.
Let me tell you something. When he was 16 years old, he played for their national team, Mitch, coached by Mike Fratello, and he played against Team USA, the NBA stars. I think that was back in 2014, the FIBA World Cup. 16 years old.
Lightfoot has it ripped loose, but Kansas, another sign I want to ask you about. You mentioned the inside touches. Prior to the follow tip dunk by McKayla, Bill Self's team had 14 points, 11 touches early in the paint.
Exactly, and they made play with this small ball lineup, but you know the ball was going to get into the paint. And by the way, it doesn't always have to be a pass to Azubuike. Driving it to the paint is just as effective.
And they run the dribble weave offense as good as any team in the country on the perimeter. Have for years. Tigers trying to play through Mekawulu the last two times. Made one, missed one. Vic ain't missing.
That young man played 91 minutes as a freshman. And as he blossomed, and remember the talk when he was a freshman was, is he going to transfer? No, it's worked out pretty well.
Well, he was good against Purdue last year in the NCAA tournament. 12 points, couple steals. And a hustle basket by Christian Mekawulu.
I like his energy, the big fella. This team has gotten out Kansas and on the run. Take a look. You see the athleticism of Lagerald Vick. And Mitch, you and I have been watching Kansas basketball for a long time. So many of these guys come in unheralded, don't play much as freshmen, sophomores. Remember Elijah Johnson, Brady Morningstar. And if they just stay with the formula, the non-one and done guys, they end up being really solid players at Kansas. And Lagerald Vick, one of those players.
And it's what the one and done guys miss.
No doubt.
Because we talk about Coach Hootie and her impact in developing these guys physically. And we see guys just get better year after year, emotionally, mentally, and physically.
It's a two-edged sword for guys like Embiid and Kelly Oubre and some of the others, because that's a lot of money to pass up on. But you asked Frank Mason, remember last year at Senior Day? He said, I really don't want to leave this place. By the way, Kelly Oubre starting to come into his own as an NBA player.
Mitch Lightfoot fouling, but I'm going to ask you about the defense because the numbers here. 11 of the first 12 or 13 years of Bill Self's tenure. Look at, I mean, he was in the top 5. But the last 4 years have been the 4 worst years.
You know, the last couple of years they really haven't had rim protection, shot blocking. You know, I'm not sure outside of Azubuike they're going to have that this year. But they're going to have speed and quickness defensively. And that's something that you can't really sneeze at.
And they lead by 19 here because of it.
Yeah.
Nekawulu's going to walk.
Yeah, solid defense by Kansas. First night out. Allen Fieldhouse rocking and rolling. Kansas getting ready for Kentucky on Tuesday night.
Tennessee State and Kansas have a strong connection. Long before Glory Road, there was Coach McClendon, one of the greatest of all times and one of your heroes.
No question. John McClendon, born in Hiawatha, Kansas. He was a student under a guy named Dr. James Naismith. He couldn't play basketball at Kansas. They weren't segregated at the time. But he turned out to be a great basketball coach, the first coach to win 3 national championships at Tennessee A&I, now Tennessee State. And here's something interesting you'll love, Mitch. He was the first black professional head coach, and he was also fired from that job by a guy named George Steinbrenner, the owner of the Cleveland Pipers. And years later, when they asked Coach McClendon, was Steinbrenner a racist? Was he anti-black? He said, no, he's anti-human.
Billy Martin would agree. Rest in peace, Billy Martin and George Steinbrenner. LeGerald Vick goes to the basket. 9 and 1. LeGerald Vick, very aggressive tonight.
I said today, I tweeted out, now he's got to fill out, but this kid this is not a team with one and done guys on this Kansas team. This kid, with his athleticism, his ability to defend, improve his shooting, he's got to get bigger and stronger. He'll have a chance to have a long career in the NBA as a Tony Allen type stopper. But the athleticism is NBA level.
And his strength has improved, man. He's just powerful with his movement.
Yeah.
Watching him practice the last 2 days.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean he's going to be a starter or a star. But boy, if he could play in the league for a while, that would be pretty darn good.
Delano Spencer, the Atlanta native, drains his second 3 for the Tennessee State Tigers. Graham robbed at the rim.
If you're Dana Ford right now, you know you've been hit with a haymaker because Kansas has been on fire. Just chip away. Try to get it to within 12, 13, and you'll be able to get into that locker room.
Dana Ford, good pedigree. Played at Illinois State, recruited there by Tom Richardson, and played for Porter Mosier. And then an assistant at Illinois State with Dan Muller, and then assistant at Wichita State with Greg Marshall.
And I have a feeling you know a little bit about Dana Ford. You called a lot of his games, right?
Tough kid, and really, you talk about a guy that has grown as a person. And I would take a screenshot of the guy because you're going to want to know who he is.
Former defensive, all Missouri Valley defensive team. And I'm going to tell you, there are people talking about him in terms of being a coach that can get to the next level.
Really bright, knows the game, recruited very well here at Tennessee State.
Recruited a guy for John Cooper, the former coach, who's now at Miami of Ohio. Recruited a guy by the name of Robert Covington, who is now not only playing very well for the Philadelphia 76ers, the next contract he gets, he is going to hit the jackpot.
He's still very involved with the Tennessee State program. And another tie-in for Dana Ford and his Tiger program. He's a teammate with the 76ers with Joel Embiid, the former Jayhawk.
Hopefully Robert did not put down much money on a bet between in tonight's game unless he was getting a lot of points.
You remember Covington. Murray State, remember Steve Prohm? He had an incredible team at Murray. Now Steve is at Iowa State. But Tennessee State beat that team. They were 23-0. And Covington and those guys for TSU pulled off that huge upset.
And I did the OVC final that season, and Murray State, the Racers, had to squeak by Tennessee State. And Robert Covington. That was his senior year. Isaiah Cannon was a great player as well. Little zone now, looks like, by Tennessee State. They don't like to play it. And there's why.
Marcus Garrett, good start to his career. 6 first-half points for the freshman from Dallas.
The player he reminds me most of as a Jayhawk is Travis Relaford. What do I mean by that? He does a lot of things well. Not a great shooter, but he does a lot of hustle things, defense, pass.
Darius Hamilton defers to that shot. Here comes Graham again.
Bill Self's going to love that. A year ago, it was Frank Mason, the guy attacking the basket. In fact, Devontae Graham was a guy that they want to attack right here. Take a look as he gets to the basket. Strong move. Last year, all we saw, Mitch, was Frank Mason live at the foul line.
Fran, he shot 238 foul shots. That was 47 more than the next closest guy in the Big 12.
It's amazing.
When Graham only averaged 2.5 free throws a game, Frank averaged 7. And Clay Young gets into the first half Kansas lineup.
With all due respect to Clay Young, I think at the shoot-around today that we attended, that was probably the furthest thing on his mind. But hard worker, one of those guys as a walk-on that comes every day to practice to make the starters better.
Redick misses the rhythm 3.
Clay Young playing right now.
Oh, and a look if he turns. Instead, Mikhailuk finishes.
And Clay Young just made the scorebook. I thought he was going to go jump hook over the left shoulder.
Mikhailuk, a pair of threes. He was 0 for 7 Tuesday night in their exhibition game against Fort Hays State. So now that Redick threw that under the rim and it spun over the top.
That was good defense too. What do you do? What do you do if you're Dana Ford?
That's when he turns to his AD and goes, how much are we getting for this?
Well, he told us today that he's going to play Texas and Purdue. And I said, how do you figure out who you're going to play? He said, the first 3 schools to call us with the most money.
Nice roll in 3. Delano Spencer's been the story for the Tigers. He's got 11 in the first half. Kind of a frustration move maybe here by Kendarius Hamilton.
Last thing Bill Self needs right now is for Clay Young to get hurt. They can't afford it.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Esurance, auto and home insurance for the modern world, and Old Spice. Bah!
Kansas shooting 76%, 6 of 9 from 3, leading 49-24. And Clay Young will go to the line for Kansas. What happened?
Yeah, watch the contact at the elbow, a little bit excessive according to the officials. That is a flagrant 1 foul. You'll see it right here. Watch Kendarius Hamilton. And this is interesting. It's not often, Mitch, that a guy like Clay Young would go to the line in front of 16,300 and nobody else on the line.
It's almost put some managers out there.
Yeah.
Clay Young played at Lansing High School, not far from here. Talk about Veterans Day, just outside the environs of Fort Leavenworth. Good high school program at Lansing High. And then he played at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. You play in the Jayhawk JUCO. It's not for the faint of heart.
No question. Long time, great tradition.
Again, Kansas not having Billy Preston tonight. being disciplined, missed curfew and class. Devontae Graham isn't missing anything.
No, I want to amplify what we talked about earlier. Devontae Graham only had 40 baskets all last season at the rim. Frank Mason over 100. But you see Graham trying to attack the basket.
And Kansas has really made the perimeter difficult a lot. That's 4 perimeter steals now by Kansas.
Off of the first 16.5 minutes, you think Jayhawk fans are going to love Marcus Garrett the next 3.5 years of his career? 4, really.
And double bonus now for Kansas.
His high school coach, Paul Graham. I've known Paul for over 30 years, and you mentioned his lineage, especially with Eddie Sutton. And one thing about Marcus Garrett, I can guarantee you, he came to Kansas understanding what work ethic was, how to play defense, and also getting shoot out on occasion. And that will wear well as he wears that Kansas Jayhawk uniform.
Tough love. And Garrett with 7 in his first half. Illegal screen. Mekwawulu's got his 3rd, so both the Dana Ford's bigs have 3. You're going to like our halftime report. We've got a lot planned for you.
We're going to be busy, and can't wait to hear that interview with Devontae Graham. Young man from Raleigh, North Carolina, Broughton High School, not highly recruited. Signed at Appy State, went to Brewster Academy, and the rest is history.
Garrett. Scoop plus.
It's hard to drive from the perimeter to the basket when you play with 2 post players. So when you play with only one and Azubuike stays away from the ball, it opens up those driving lanes. And boy, are they good at it.
For years, Bill Self had that 2-post look, the high-low. But college basketball, this is not out of the norm now to get like 4 smalls and 1 big.
I got a secret for you. Bully ball's coming back next year. They've got some horses waiting in the wings.
Nice 3 popped in.
Yeah, good poise by Tennessee State. I don't think they expected Kansas to be this red hot and make that many threes.
Reddick's had good games on the road for TSU. He had 14 at Duke last year and 12 at Vandy. Of course, TSU shares Nashville with Vandy in Belmont and Lipscomb. If you're Dana Ford, you got to be concerned not just lose any confidence here, because they play Middle Tennessee State at home coming up.
I know. And as you mentioned earlier, they had great success. I don't think that Middle Tennessee State lose a game last year in double figures besides
These guys.
Their loss, yeah.
Kermit Davis can coach.
He sure can.
Two to shoot. Kyler finally misses from 3. Actually, his 2nd miss with 3 makes from bonus distance.
I'm impressed with Tennessee State. Nothing's gone right, but they have run their offense as a team, and they move the ball well.
Good hands by Mikhailuk. And off of Cheney and back to Kansas. At 1:18 to go in the half, and Kansas 56-27 lead.
And they have not missed a suspended Billy Preston tonight.
walks. Little triple jump action goes back to the Tigers.
Next year they'll have both Lawson brothers, KJ and Diedrich, the transfers from Memphis. They'll have Silvio D'Souza, an outstanding high school player. David McCormick as well, another big body.
I want to ask you and Jeff Goodman, and we're going to talk about it in the second half. They may have D'Souza in January.
I talked to the staff earlier, and we'll give you the update because he's eligible to graduate in December. But there's a lot of hurdles, Mitch.
But that would be news and music to the ears of Kansas fans if D'Souza gets reclassified to the class of 18.
He's playing at IMG Academy, and he is a warrior.
Newman, it would have been poetic if that would have gone in. Kansas first pop quiz of the semester. A for a half. And Jeff Goodman with Coach Bill Self.
Coach, you're up 29 at the half. You were a little bit worried coming into this game. How's the new small ball looking?
Well, I thought we played pretty well. Of course, we made shots, but we're so thin up front. I mean, it's Clay did a good job when he's in there, but he's a 6'3", 5-man trying to guard 6'9". But we need to keep playing without fouling and keep the pace up.
What was the deal with Billy Preston being suspended for this game?
Well, we found out right before the game that no-show in class today and maybe a no-show in curfew last night.
All right. Thanks.
And that means no show to play. So Billy Preston setting this one out. The Jayhawks haven't needed him. A terrific first half for Kansas. 56 on the board, fueled by defense, threes, and unselfishness. Veterans Day weekend. Call a vet, text a vet, email a vet, thank a vet. Some of the most important military installations in the world are within just a couple hours of our location. Fort Riley, Kansas, home of the Big Red 1, 1st Infantry Division. Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, Command General Staff College. Whiteman Air Force Base, Knob-Noster, Missouri, home of the B-2 bomber. McConnell Air Force Base, Wichita. Offutt Air Force Base, Omaha. This is a very important part of the world in the defense of the same.
Absolutely, and a shout out to all those men and women who have represented and protected us in the United States Armed Forces. And the veteran, if you will, Legero Vic, off to another red hot start, the junior from Memphis.
Right to the void of the zone to start the half.
Not only was there a void, there was nobody there.
Boy, Tennessee State's bigs have had a rough night. 2 6'9" guys, Hamilton and Mekawulu, combined for just 5 points and 6 fouls.
This is actually a good practice for Kansas. Tennessee State does not like to play a lot of zone, and got a couple good looks. Counterintuitive, because you'd say, wait a minute, Kansas was red hot from behind the line, but sometimes actually you can get out and extend the defense a little bit better, but you better protect the paint. And the one thing about Bill Self's teams, that ball sings. It doesn't stick. There's no Velcro against zones. The ball moves.
Vic had tougher shots and shoot around tonight. And the rejection by Azubuike. That's in rhythm. foul. And let's check in now with Jeff Goodman.
Dana Ford coming off, I asked him, what can you do better? He said, listen, can we start this game over again? Obviously couldn't do that, but he wants his team to play tougher, to execute better. But I was at the game last year, guys, when they gave Duke a run, and he said to me, listen, I knew this group wasn't that group, and they wouldn't be able to come in and hang with Kansas the same way. They weren't quite as tough physically.
Well, they lost that young man McCall, who's now with the Brooklyn Nets, playing in the G League. Probably the best defensive player in the OVC a year ago.
But I mean, Kansas just hit Dana's team just right upside that had to start. I mean, it wasn't before they even had a chance to breathe. And out of the line will be Darion Reddick.
You know, it's funny. I brought mid-major teams into places like this. It reminds me of the Mike Tyson line, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth. And sometimes you get punched in the mouth and the fight might be over, but it's a long season for the Tigers. They'll still go to Texas. They'll still play Purdue.
Well, that'll drive Bill Self crazy. The ball hits the floor on a missed free throw by the opponent to set this up. But I'm curious what Tennessee State will do in the OVC. We know what Belmont's like in that league, Murray State, but these guys are going to be involved in that, aren't they?
No, I absolutely think so. Look at that ball movement. Okay. So what you've done is you've taken a guard in Vic, a good ball handler, and you put him in the middle of the zone to be the playmaker.
Boy, rough night for the Liberty graduate transfer A.C. Reed. Kansas 38 points in the paint in this game. Defended. It was Nigeria on Nigeria, and Azubuike wins that.
Wow! Take a look. First to zone. Ball movement. Take a look right in the middle. That's easy. And then watch Devontae Graham, the maestro. Yes, it's his turn. Frank Mason's with the Sack Kings. And Devontae said, I want to start my senior year with a bang.
Kansas 66, Tennessee State 28. Somewhere Frank Mason is tipping his cap because Devontae Graham is sniffing a triple-double, Fran, in this first game of the season.
We talked about it earlier. He sort of took a back seat a year ago, but remember, he had a tremendous sophomore year. You remember the game at Oklahoma where he shut down Buddy Hield and had a career-high 28?
And his Purdue game, well, in the Big 12 championship game that same year against West Virginia at 27 in Kansas City. Tonight, 10 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds, and here he comes again. This would be a 10th assist. As the bouquet fouled, a little energy off the bench. Stokely Chappie, the Oakland, California native. Kansas full throttle since the beginning of this game, routing a Tennessee State team that's better than this. Mitch Holtis with you along with Fran Fraschilla. We're going to check in shortly again with Jeff Goodman, but this Kansas team impressive in every phase.
Well, they've used their speed and athleticism tonight. Obviously, they shot the ball really, really well, and that's going to be a strength of this team, I think, all year. Depth inside is a definite issue. But I've liked what the sophomore has done as a rookie.
Stokely Chaffee at the line, a junior college transfer, another tie-in between the programs. He was recruited to the University of San Francisco by Rex Walters, who is a hero here.
He dove on the floor for a few loose balls.
Easy layup line for Malik Newman.
You know, I got to coach Malik Newman at the Steph Curry camp, Under Armour camp, when he was going into his senior year. Tremendous young man. I just thought there was too much pressure on him to go to Mississippi State, where his dad played. A lot of distractions. I thought the best thing he did was transfer and sit out and play for a coach who would hold him accountable every single day. And he got a chance to play for this guy who had a pretty good September, Mitch.
Yeah, he did. And a trip to Springfield. And he's got company on this list in the Naismith Hall of Fame.
Well, I know Jeff Goodman's going to add soon, but when I talked to Bill Self about getting into the Hall of Fame a couple weeks ago, he said, hey, 4 out of the 7 previous coaches, that's 57% of Kansas coaches got in. So I knew my odds were pretty good.
But
guys, I asked Bill Self how much longer he was going to coach, because about a month ago, he said he wasn't going to be a lifer. So he's 54 years old. His contract goes through 2022. I said, well, what else do you like to do? He said, really, I don't have any other hobbies. I like golf a little bit, but I don't fish, I don't hunt, I don't sail. The only thing I like to do is coach. So I said, okay, well, doesn't that mean you're going to be a lifer? And he said, probably.
well, here's the deal, Jeff. I don't want you and Frantic. He was awesome at Oral Roberts. He took them, they were NAI, they were going back to D1. He lost 18 straight games.
Yes, he did.
Then to Tulsa, then to Illinois. He paid his dues.
And remember, he worked at Larry Brown's camp here when he was a player at Oklahoma State. And you remember the story, right? He got hurt at the camp. And Larry Brown, the great coach here, said, Bill, if I could ever help you in any way. And Bill said, yeah, hire me as a grad assistant. Larry Brown forgot all about Bill Self until Bill showed up at the end of August. And they found a place for him. And, of course, he wasn't here long. He moved on to Oklahoma State as an assistant, and the rest is history.
You know, when you talk to other people, other coaches in the country, one thing they'll tell you about Bill Self is he's old school in terms of he holds his kids accountable, but he still finds a way to connect with his players. And that's something that really a lot of coaches aren't able to do these days.
And Jeff, I do think it goes back to the fact that he coaches a so-called blue blood program, but he coaches it like he's in his first year at Oral Roberts. That's never left him.
And think about it. It doesn't matter if it's Joel Embiid or Clay Young. He coaches every player hard. And that's why this guy is going to be a terrific Jayhawk, Malik Newman, because he spent last year playing defense, playing on the second unit, being on the scout team, and having Bill Self hold him accountable. And the results in his initial debut here are pretty good.
A 40-point lead for Kansas at the 13-24 mark.
I think the hardest thing nowadays, Mitch, is to coach your best players the hardest. You know, when you coach your best player harder than anybody else on the team, and you get on his butt, everybody else stays in line, and that's what Bill Self is a master at.
Real rough night for the senior from Montgomery, Alabama, Kendaris Hamilton. I mean, he had a couple double-doubles, and he's fouled out of the game with no points. And he'll have better nights, and that's where Dana Ford goes, get ready for the Blue Raiders at Middle Tennessee State.
Coming up quickly.
And Lightfoot called for his third foul.
I think getting beat like this in a strange way will be good for Tennessee State. They're playing a top 5 team in a very tough environment. And they'll be able to use this as fuel as they get ready to play a very good Blue Raider team. Hey, by the way, you know, Kansas had 7 exhibition games.
4 in Italy.
Yep. That incredible game against Missouri. It's one of the greatest exhibition games of all time in terms of the crowd and the atmosphere.
And the greatest thing is it raised over $2 million.
Sure did.
For hurricane relief. That was cool. But Mitch Lightfoot is almost there.
You know what I said about that game, right? It's like going out to Starbucks with your old girlfriend, you know, and then you realize why you broke up. That's Kansas, Missouri right there.
Chaffee's been good off the bench for Tennessee State.
Bill Self was giving it to Mitch Lightfoot yesterday, wasn't he? At practice. And afterwards. And Mitch is another guy that was at the Under Armour All-American camp. I got to know him as a junior in high school. And after practice, I went over to him. I said, what's it like to be yelled at by the head coach? He goes, he didn't yell at me last year because I didn't play. He goes, it feels great.
You know, we were watching yesterday. Their red team, their scout team, because you mentioned the transfers, they would probably win 25 games. But they weren't getting yelled at. But I'm thinking, I was just in the back of my mind going, dude, this will be you guys next year.
Absolutely. And Dedrick Lawson is a terrific player, the Memphis transfer. He is obviously a potential first-round pick a year from now. Little Charlie Moore, transfer from Cal, had a very good freshman year out of Chicago. Hey, they got a kid, Dotson, coming in from Charlotte, a great point guard.
One too many passes for Kansas. Kansas has defended all night. The best news for Bill Self.
Let's get it. College hoops are here. Big time. Boom. It's number 1 Duke versus number 2 Michigan State. Number 4 Kansas versus number 5 Kentucky. One night, 2 blockbuster matchups with the college football playoffs, top 25 in between games.
Kansas will be there, leading 74-36 here. Here's the question. What do you get when you get 56 combined Final Fours?
You get the Champions Classic in Chicago on Tuesday night. And for those of you who remember 3 years ago, the last time Kansas played Kentucky in Champions, they got beat by 40 points. That was Devontae Graham's freshman season.
You had to bring that up. Kansas fans are having this great evening.
Well, they have beaten Kentucky the last 2 years in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. If you give me a choice of a veteran team like a Villanova, Michigan State versus Kentucky or Duke to win it all, I'm going with the veterans. We've seen that in the last couple of years in college basketball.
That Villanova 16 team was awesome to watch.
Hey, in North Carolina a year ago.
UConn in 14.
Yep.
Nice little teardrop there by Cheney. You mentioned from St. Rita in the Chicago Catholic League, and they've had some players.
They sure have. A couple of his teammates, Vic Law starring at Northwestern right now. Charles Matthews, who started his career at Kentucky, he'll be at Michigan this year. Legendary coach Gary DeCesar, who won so many Catholic League championships in New York at St. Raymond's.
Finally, some answers here. Back-to-back, 5 straight points for the Tigers. 15 for Reddick.
Yeah, he's been very solid tonight. Again, you just want to build your Dana Ford the last 9 minutes.
Lightfoot with not enough space here, and the foul will be on Tennessee State. One of the rule changes, I want to ask you about this, and that's the offensive space now that a player gets.
That's right. It's called the cylinder rule. We haven't seen it in play tonight, but basically the offensive player, you got to give him room to pivot and turn, and you can't crowd him and straddle that leg as he pivots from side to side. So it's a way to create freedom of movement. And you will see that called a number of times through the year. Another rule that's very interesting, and we haven't seen it tonight, Mitch, if the defender knocks the ball off the offensive player in the front court and it goes into the backcourt, either team can pick it up. And you see right here, the coach's box is going to be interesting because I just can only imagine John Calipari being out towards midcourt now with that box, and so many other coaches who coach with great passion and energy.
Well, your buddy Tom Crean's going, well, wait a minute, now they give 10 more feet.
Don't you wish Tom Crean would have worn a fit band on the sideline?
Got to change the oil in it at halftime. So here's your lines here.
And Bill, get back in your box, Bill.
He's going, I'm going to step out here. I'm going to toe there.
I think it was 1992 when John Calipari was at UMass and got an unfortunate technical foul call. Yeah. Remember that? In the, I think it was a Sweet 16 game in Philadelphia. There was a cheesy technical foul call.
Lightfoot, this will drive him crazy. Mitch Lightfoot is in the scorebook.
Now you remember how much energy he played with against Missouri in that exhibition game. The scoring is a bonus, but he's going to have to provide rebounding, screening. He's going to play a lot more than I think people realize before the start of the year. Here he goes, Mitch Lightfoot out of Gilbert, Arizona. Didn't play much as a freshman. Oh, they're going to love him here in the field house.
Boy, Tennessee State, they feel like they want to punt, down 77-44 to Kansas. And there's a look at the Red Squad, the scout team here at Kansas, the transfers.
Got the Lawson brothers, right, sandwiching Charlie Moore, the young man I mentioned, the point guard out of Chicago. Those three, plus a solid recruiting class so far, led by Silvio De Souza, one of my favorite high school players of the last summer, Jeff Goodman. An animal.
Well, he is an animal, and he may be coming sooner than people think. According to my sources, De Souza is going to try to join the Jayhawks in December. He's from Angola, spent his freshman year in Angola. They're waiting for his test score and everything to be cleared by the NCAA, but my sources say the Kansas staff is fairly optimistic that he will be in a Kansas uniform this year, and that would be huge for the Jayhawks, who are thin and thin up front.
Man, what, it just changes the complexion of their team, doesn't it?
He's ranked 26th in the country by ESPN, I believe, and a lot of the other services. I didn't see 5 players all summer play any harder than this guy. Freak athlete, high energy motor, very bright, engaging young man, and would fit perfectly in with this particular team.
Kansas only cavities tonight, 18 turnovers.
Friend, does that put Kansas, if they get to Souza, does that put them in the elite class? Because looking at this team tonight, and they're blowing out Tennessee State, you still aren't sold, are you, that they're an elite team at the level of maybe a Duke or a Michigan State?
Well, the margin for error is smaller because of the 8 scholarship players, Jeff. So that's a factor, there's no question. 37 games over the course of the season, injuries, foul trouble, that could rear its ugly head, and he certainly would help. But what I've seen tonight of this team, they're going to be difficult to guard offensively. Now, Missouri, Mitch, hit them hard on the glass. And, Jeff, that's a big concern. Defensive rebounding.
Their quickness tonight has been prevalent. And we haven't mentioned Sam Cunliffe yet either, the Arizona State transfer. And so these guys could be eligible for the Nebraska game. I can just hear Tim Miles going, oh, good. You're going to be eligible for my game.
By the way, Gerald Vick's got 20. Not bad for a guy that didn't play much his freshman year.
He's working on a career high, Fran. He had 23 against Long Beach State and headed there tonight.
Lamar McKnight, young man, played at St. Benedict's in New Jersey, a storied program out of Toronto.
There you go.
There you go.
Tied his career high. And I got a feeling it's not the last time he'll have 20.
I was here one spring at Bill Self's fantasy camp after his freshman year, and Bill was working with his shooting. That's something that's come a long way.
Big night, though, for the Tigers. Darion Reddick. He has 20. He had 25 last year at Murray State against the Racers.
It's a young man from not that far from here, Belleville, Illinois. About a 5-hour drive, 4.5.
It was Dana Ford's first recruit.
That's right.
And he, remember his Illinois State background, and he's from Belleville in the St. Louis area. And a good high school program.
About 15, 20 miles southeast of St. Louis, as I recall, from my recruiting days.
Kansas 11 made threes tonight. Thunderstorm warning.
The Nigerian Nightmare.
Christian Okoye somewhere is tipping his cap.
Well, it hasn't been used in about 20 years, right?
Christian won't mind it. He's probably at the Azusa Pacific game anyway. Devontae Graham hasn't scored in the second half. And this kid is going to get some more minutes for Tennessee State. Stokely Chaffee.
Yeah. He's been impressive. Young man out of California.
Las Positas Junior College after he was at San Francisco. Everybody's going, well, why's Kansas still got the... They don't have other guys. This is all they got.
I'm going to play.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and Dr. Scholl's.
Back here in Lawrence, Kansas. Kansas up 85-53 with 3:29 left. And across the state, Wichita State blew out UMKC tonight, 109-57. Kansas ranked 4, Wichita State ranked 7. Fran Fraschilla, we're not going to let you off the hook here. We're not letting you get out of the state without your pick. Who's the better team, Wichita State or Kansas?
You know, Mitch, you live in this. You live here, right?
Yeah, you guys go for this because you roll out of town. I have to stay.
I'm going to be back here about 10 more times, and Jeff's going to be disappearing. Hey, Jeff, I'm going to see Wichita State at SMU during the American Conference. I'll let you know after I see him in person.
Well, I'll say today I will take Kansas because Landry Shamet is not at 100%, and Marcus McDuffie is not back yet. So I agree with you. I think let's wait and see till January. But I want to put some pressure on you, friend.
Listen, Wichita State. You know what the Roundhouse is like, okay? Kansas fans don't want to hear that, but that place is an incredible basketball arena as well. And it's great for a state like this state to have such great college basketball.
Listen, you can't win a national title without a top-tier point guard. That's the thing where it starts. And both of those teams have elite-level point guards, maybe guys that are first-team All-Americans at the end of the day.
Speaking of point guards.
Elite level, by the way. Sharon Collins is going to have his number retired in February on Big Monday against Oklahoma.
Mid-February. Young's already got one. He's getting more than that. Chris Tehan in the game now. His brother, part of that 2012 run to the finals against Kentucky. He's also part of the 08 team that won it all.
A lot of people don't realize that Connor Tehan played in 100 games for Bill Self in his senior year. Played about 20 minutes a game.
I see Connor a lot. We could take a chalk line and put it in that corner.
Yes.
Where he shot about 1,000 threes. He would just run to the corner. People would lose him, and there it went.
Rockhurst High School.
Not one of Bill's better defenders, though.
No.
Ezebuki. 13 points tonight. What'd you see in him?
You know what? Poise, conditioning, a level of low post intelligence that he didn't have a year ago.
And the only drama left is to see if Mitch Lightfoot will foul out. He's got 4 to match his double 4s of his jersey. Hey, tonight at 1:30 a.m. Eastern, 10:30 Pacific. After Georgia Tech, UCLA for China Sports Center. Lots on the docket. We're going to talk about the Hurricanes and the Irish less than 24 hours away and what's behind Notre Dame's turnaround season right now headed to the college football playoff. Plus a salute to heroes on Veterans Day. Sports Center, Linda Cohn, Stan Barrett, also streaming on the ESPN app.
I was watching probably for the 15th time Catholics versus
that's a great
convicts
30.
last night. Is that incredible 30 for 30? One of the best I think they've ever done.
Good idea by Lightfoot, but throws it into the donors.
Chris Tehan not happy about that pass because Malik Newman was going to shoot it right to the corner.
He knows where his brother shot all those threes.
Oh, yeah.
Good take there by Cheney. Again, Dana Ford, Tennessee State, they're going to have better nights, and it may be better. They get a home game against Middle Tennessee State. And I love the fact that Kermit Davis is playing them in Nashville at Tennessee State's arena, which is nice. But this kid right here, Dana Ford, I say kid, young man.
Yep.
Bright future. This team, just keep an eye on him and them.
Oh, there's no question. And what I love about that area of the country, you got Belmont, you got a good Lipscomb team, you got Middle Tennessee State, a terrific program. Of course, Vandy's there, but Dana Ford said, well, we play all those schools at our level. It's a great rivalry and some great coaches, too. There it is.
We'll have to hear from his brother after that. Tuesday night, Chicago. Next on the docket for Kansas, Kentucky. Gonna try it again. And And the Lansing Lion, Clay Young, gets the reverse layup. And if people joined us late, just the quick storylines. Billy Preston, disciplined tonight, did not play. And then reinforcements coming perhaps as soon as December for Bill Self's team.
And they've got a potent backcourt. We saw that tonight.
Devontae Graham, a near triple-double. Kansas set the tone in the first minute of the game with this young man, Devontae Graham. Last year the vice president, this year the president. And LeGerald Vick tying his career high with 23.
And the Secretary of Defense.
And they'll need the whole cabinet to go to Chicago.
On Tuesday against a young Kentucky team who struggled a little tonight. Then, of course, Duke and Michigan State. That'll be a barn burner as well. Tom Izzo's got as deep a front line as he's ever had in East Lansing.
Yeah, Michigan State. It's time for Tom Izzo to be ornery again. But it was fun to watch those freshmen and how they grew last year in his program in Bridges State.
Absolutely. And remember the name Jaren Jackson Jr.
Well, I remember the name Jeff Goodman, who's got the star of the night at the career high, LeGerald Vick.
All right, I got LeGerald Vick and Bill Self here, and LeGerald, career high 23 points. How has your role changed from a year ago to now?
It just changed, stepping up being a leader, just waiting my turn and, just coming out, being ready to play and, listening to coach and, just coming out aggressive.
How tired are you of him calling you guys soft?
Very tired.
What do you think you showed Coach tonight about the fact that maybe you guys weren't soft?
I feel like we defended pretty well. Still can do a lot of things better, but we shared the ball well, and I feel like we played Kansas basketball.
Thanks, LeGerald. Yep. Bill, this type of performance obviously blew out Tennessee State. What do you have to do better? You got Kentucky next Tuesday night.
Well, we can focus in on Kentucky. We actually made shots, and everything looks decent when you make shots in the first half. In the second half, we were pretty stagnant offensively. I think we had like 12 points in the first 4 minutes and then barely scored the rest of the half. So we need to be more consistent. We need to be able to, play 40 minutes. Right tonight we played about 25 or 30.
Do you anticipate having Billy Preston back Tuesday night?
Oh yeah, I don't see why that would be a situation at all. Just be responsible. But yeah, we definitely could have used a big body tonight, but we got by with it and was able to stay out of foul trouble.
The toughness of this team tonight, take a step forward?
Maybe. I don't know that I'm going to get too excited about this tonight. We'll find out a lot more about who we are on Tuesday.
Thanks, Bill.
Boy, and Kansas starters tonight, Jeff, shot 65%, and the three ball was there. As big night for Vick, but also I think we saw Devontae Graham willing now to take the responsibility doing things other than scoring, because we know he can score.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He's had moments of brilliance throughout his career. Last year, again, he played off of the brilliance of Frank Mason. But he understands what Bill Self wants from him. Not only with his scoring, but obviously leading a group of guys that got to continue this incredible tradition. And we didn't even talk about the 13 straight Big 12 titles tonight. But they understand what's at stake, and nobody understands better than Devontae Graham.
And again, Tuesday night, the State Farm Champions Classic. Indeed, what a field that they had. All 4 won tonight. Kentucky got challenged. They're trying to kind of figure things out as well, but that's going to be a lot of fun Tuesday. It'll feel like March.
A lot of tremendous young players. Marvin Bagley at his debut tonight, 25 and 10, 22 from Grayson Allen. I predict a big year from him. And of course, Michigan State, a boatload of big men.
Coming up next, football, Temple and Cincinnati from the American. But for Fran Fraschilla and Jeff Goodman, Kansas, they are out of the gates, and out of the gates in a hurry. An excellent performance tonight as Kansas routs Tennessee State and now heads to Chicago to meet Kentucky.